Bengal India famine. Claims and debunk and clarity. Claim 1. Churchill exacerbated the Bengal famine through action and inaction, leading to millions of deaths. Debunk and clarity. The Bengal famine of 1943 was a complex event with multiple factors contributing to its severity. While Churchill's policies and actions have been criticized, blaming him solely for exacerbating the famine oversimplifies the historical context. The responsibility of the Indian provincial government cannot be overlooked, as they failed to provide adequate relief and support to the people of Bengal during the crisis. Moreover, the famine was aggravated by various factors within India, including mismanagement, discriminatory policies, and the dissolution of the Bengal Legislative Assembly in 1942, which hindered effective response efforts. Claim 2. The British government exploited resources from India to fight WW2 rather than relieve the famine. Debunk and clarity. During World War II, resources from India were diverted to support the war effort, but allocating resources during wartime is a complex decision involving various considerations, including national defense and survival. While some resources were redirected, the Bengal provincial government also played a role in resource allocation and relief efforts during the famine. The war's impact on resource availability and distribution should be considered in conjunction with the actions of both British and Indian authorities in addressing the crisis. Claim 3. Churchill expressed racist views of Indians and blamed them for the famine. Debunk and clarity. Churchill's statements have shown racist attitudes towards Indians, but attributing blame for the famine solely to the Indian population is inaccurate. The responsibility for the famine's severity lies with a combination of factors, including natural disasters, wartime disruptions, mismanagement by both British and Indian authorities, and discriminatory policies within India itself. Blaming Indians as a whole oversimplifies the complexities of the situation. Claim 4. The Bengal famine was a preventable man-made disaster, not a natural one. Debunk and clarity. The Bengal famine indeed had man-made elements, such as policies and decisions affecting food distribution and production. However, it was also partly exacerbated by natural factors, including crop failures and a cyclone. The failure of the Indian provincial government to effectively respond to the crisis and provide adequate relief further contributed to its severity. Preventing such a tragedy required coordinated efforts from both British and Indian authorities to address the various contributing factors. Claim 5. Churchill's culpability in the deaths of millions in Bengal is often overlooked. Debunk and clarity. Churchill's role in the Bengal famine has been a subject of historical debate, and it is essential to critically examine all available evidence without overlooking any credible information. However, it is equally crucial to recognize the role of the Indian provincial government and the broader socio-economic factors within India that worsened the famine's impact. An accurate understanding of the historical context should consider the actions and responsibilities of all parties involved, not solely focus on one individual. Claim 6. The Bengal famine deserves greater acknowledgement like the Holocaust. Debunk and clarity. While the Bengal famine was a devastating tragedy with significant loss of life, comparing it to the Holocaust can be problematic as the two events have different historical contexts and implications. Both tragedies should be remembered and understood within their unique historical backgrounds, acknowledging the suffering and loss of life in each case without diminishing the importance of either. Claim 7. Churchill displayed cruelty and racism in his policies towards Indians. Debunk and clarity. Churchill's policies and statements did exhibit racist attitudes, which is a matter of historical record and critique. However, the famine's causes and severity cannot be solely attributed to one individual's personal views. Claim 8. Churchill ignored pleas from British officers in India for famine aid. Debunk and clarity. Some historical accounts suggest that there were delays in providing famine aid, but attributing it solely to Churchill's ignorance would require a more nuanced analysis of administrative and bureaucratic challenges during that time. The decision-making process during a crisis involves multiple factors and entities, both British and Indian, that should be examined to understand the response's complexities. Claim 9. Churchill prioritized British war resources over urgent Indian needs. Debunk and clarity. The allocation of resources during wartime is a complex decision that involves multiple factors. While the diversion of resources is a valid point of criticism, it should be contextualized within the historical situation of World War II. The war's impact on resource availability and distribution was a challenging aspect that affected relief efforts during the famine. Claim 10. Churchill's doctor indicated his racist attitudes impacted his policies. Debunk and clarity. The role of Churchill's personal attitudes in shaping policies would require a careful examination of historical evidence, including official documents and statements. While personal views can influence decision-making, it is essential to consider the broader political, social, and economic context in which policies were formulated and implemented. Claim 11. The British colonial government failed to prevent mass deaths under their rule. Debunk and clarity. The British colonial government's response to the famine has faced criticism, but it is essential to analyze the various factors and complexities involved in dealing with such a catastrophic event. The famine's severity was a result of multiple factors, including natural disasters, wartime disruptions, mismanagement, and discriminatory policies within India. Claim 12. Churchill implemented a denial policy in Bengal that worsened the famine. Debunk and clarity. While there were policies that had negative effects on food distribution during the famine, referring to it as a denial policy may oversimplify the complexities of the situation. The famine's causes and exacerbating factors were multifaceted and involved various entities, including both British and Indian authorities. Claim 13. Australia had ships of wheat that could have helped but were not used. Debunk and clarity. The dynamics of international aid during wartime and the logistical challenges of delivering relief to a distant region must be considered when discussing the availability of aid from other countries. While there were offers of aid, securing and transporting aid during a global conflict posed significant challenges. Additionally, the coordination and distribution of aid within India itself were complex tasks, requiring cooperation between various authorities. Claim 14. Churchill was unwilling to divert British war resources to help Indians. Debunk and clarity. The decision-making process during war involves various considerations, and while Churchill's choices are a valid subject of criticism, it is important to recognize the complexities involved. Prioritizing war resources was part of the wartime strategy to ensure national defense and survival. It's essential to note that the allocation of resources during a global conflict like World War II necessitated difficult decisions to address multiple demands. Claim 15. Churchill felt providing aid would encourage population growth in Bengal. Debunk and clarity. Churchill's concerns about population growth must be understood within the context of prevailing attitudes of the time, but it should not be used to justify neglecting famine relief efforts. The priority during the famine should have been to save lives and alleviate suffering. Blaming the famine severity solely on Churchill's personal views ignores the broader socio-political and economic factors at play. Claim 16. The cost of rice vastly increased in Bengal during the famine. Debunk and clarity. The price increase during the famine was a consequence of scarcity and disruption in the supply chain, as well as various economic factors. The high demand and limited supply contributed to the soaring prices of essential goods. The rise in prices was not solely attributed to Churchill's policies but was a result of the complex interplay of various market forces during the crisis. Claim 17. Many people migrated from rural to urban areas in desperate search for food. Debunk and clarity. The famine did lead to population movements as people sought food and resources, adding to the complexity of the situation. Mass migration was a desperate response to the dire circumstances faced by those affected by the famine. However, it is essential to recognize that the crisis had deeper roots and was not solely driven by migration but by a lack of food availability and distribution. Claim 18. Sumitra Chatterjee provides first-hand accounts of witnessing starving Indians. Debunk and clarity. First-hand accounts from survivors and witnesses are valuable in understanding the human impact of the famine, but they should be complemented with a broader examination of historical records. Such accounts can provide valuable insights into the lived experiences of those who endured the crisis, but a comprehensive analysis requires consideration of multiple perspectives and historical sources. Claim 19. The cries for food by starving Indians during the famine were tragic. Debunk and clarity. The accounts of suffering and tragedy during the famine are heart-wrenching and highlight the devastating impact it had on human lives. These first-hand experiences underscore the urgency and importance of providing humanitarian aid during such crises. Recognizing the human toll of the famine reinforces the need for thorough and nuanced historical analysis to understand its causes and responses. Claim 20. Churchill's cruelty in India was comparable to Hitler's atrocities. Debunk and clarity. Drawing direct comparisons between different historical figures and events can be problematic. While Churchill's policies and actions in India have faced criticism, equating them to Hitler's atrocities oversimplifies complex historical realities. Each historical event should be examined within its unique context, and such comparisons may hinder a deeper understanding of the specific circumstances and implications of each event.